Hello and welcome everybody to our webinar series ETM.next at Bearing Point. I'm really glad that we have such a broad audience today. So good afternoon and good morning, respectively, where you are located actually. Today it's the third session of our webinar series and the first one where we want to focus on a user group. This user group is the plant and yard managers or warehouse managers, however you name it within your organization. And this is just to provide you an overview, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes about the functionalities, the features that are in ETM.next for this user group of the plant and yard managers. In our webinar series, the upcoming one with the focus on the functional module for billing and cost settlement, was postponed. So due to several asks by clients that are not available on July 5th, we have postponed it to July 12th, just for your information. So if you have already subscribed for this fourth webinar within the series, please be aware that the date has changed and it will take place on July 12th. So what will be the content of today's session? I will explain what is the yard overview and inventory control functionalities within ETM.next, as long as the warehousing functionality that we have. Warehousing not only for the yards, the warehousing module could be even used for larger construction sites to sort equipment and store equipment at some places, very customizable, easy to use. So also for projects, for temporary sites, so to say. Also the task management, what has to be done, what has to be performed on the yard will be one of the topics. And only brief outlook to inspection, safety and compliance module, because this is also very important for the yard managers, as in most of the cases, maintenance, inspections, and ensuring the compliance of all equipment, tools, and other resources is within their responsibility. But if you have already learned, we will have also a dedicated session on September 6th, which is then focusing especially on the inspection, safety, and compliance module. I will summarize at the end a little bit and give to finish today's webinar an outlook on the upcoming webinars. So what is the yard overview and the yard functionalities all about in ETM.next? The yard overview, or the yard cockpit, so to say, is the most important tool to be used by the yard and plant managers. It gives an overview about the storage location, the distribution of your assets, the workload, the tasks to be done, what requests do you have to fulfill, what is the tasks in terms of logistics, and so on. The mobile app of ETM.next, which will also be part of another webinar, will support many of those services here. I already explained this flexible warehouse structure that we have, and also some other functionalities that can be used applying the mobile app. For the yard manager himself, what is important for him? He needs an overview about his stock, what is available, what is on stock, what tasks are to be performed with the resources. So you will see there is 5 different categories. The first one is open resources. The open resources means what is open to be provided to site, to the construction sites, to the projects, and what is open to be returned from construction sites. So you are prepared at all times for any returns and the inbound process for equipment. You can have this overview in total, or you can also have this overview according to planning groups if you want to see only heavy equipment, only cranes, or whatever categories you have defined in your catalog. It will give you, as you can see on the screen here, the compliance status of the equipment. So are all legal check, regulatory checks fulfilled, all inspection tasks, and other legal requirements fulfilled in terms of safety, inspection, and health issues that provide this equipment with no doubts. So when you see here, the open provides, this means, okay, this is what I have to provide to the sites. It is ordered and I have to commission it, to pick it, commission it, to hand it over to logistics supplier. or to send it with my own logistic capabilities, with my own fleet to the sites. It shows quantity, also the available quantity, what you have in yard. So it's a nice overview, also linked with the handovers. When you remember, the handovers are our shipping documents that are documenting this entire logistic and process chain in ETM.next. Here you can see the open returns. So this is everything that is supposed to be returned after usage on a project, on a construction site. Also sorted by categories, by fleet, by hierarchy, however you want to name it. And this is all, let's say, from all equipment, from all projects that are linked to your yard and that are provided by your yard. What you see as the next category is the open requests. The open requests means this is everything that has been requested from the projects that are linked to your yard and that you have to take care about after planning and assigning of the individual equipment to be sent to site. The next category is the inventory. So your overall stock that you have under your control, under your responsibility. You will see the condition of the rental unit, you will see the state and also the compliance status. Is it compliant? Is it non-compliant? Has an inspection failed? And so on. So you could directly jump from here also to the inspection, safety and compliance module or to the respective equipment logbook to see the history and get a glance what's going on and what has to be performed to make it compliant again. The next category would be the temporary resources. So as we have already mentioned in the previous webinar sessions, ETM.next is not only handling your own fleet, your own equipment, but also temporary resources. So equipment that you hire from third party, for instance, for a certain period of time. And this is also giving the state of it. And if you have, let's say, documents like manuals, special usage instructions or something from the third-party supplier, those ones can be linked here as well. The next one and last one on this overview, yard overview slide is the planned stock increases. This means whatever you have triggered in terms of purchase requisitions will be listed here as well. And so you will see the planned delivery dates or even confirmed delivery dates if something is in acquisition currently. And you will know, okay, I will receive this piece of equipment at that date. So I have to be prepared, have the space for storage available, and so on. So this is more or less the yard management cockpit to show you all the resources under your responsibility in those different categories. On top, for the yard managers, on top of those overview functionalities, I already mentioned the warehousing functionality. So ETM.next comes with an integrated warehouse management module showcasing section and bin management for an easy sorting of your equipment on yard. So to facilitate storage, knowing the exact location, also shift locations. And by this overview of the bin report, you will always see, okay, what's the capacity of my storage bin in this section? Is it full? Is it partially used only? And so this gives you, let's say, a nice tool to manage the warehouse, the storage on your facility. By the way, as I mentioned earlier, this can also be used for larger construction sites, for temporary storage locations, where you have, let's say, a large bunch of equipment tools that you provide. For instance, highway construction or something like this. You are pretty flexible to define sections and bins there. Try to imagine you could even use kind of a colored spray and spray an A, B, C and 1, 2, 3 on the ground. And in section A, it would be bin 1. And so you would have a sorting and everybody on site would know where this equipment is, where it has to be stored after usage and so on. This can maybe help to avoid idle times, to avoid searching for tools and losing time and also for losses on site, because nobody knows where the equipment is and where it has been stored after usage. You can also see the warehouse movements. So you see on the top left corner what has to be put away, what has to be removed from a bin, what is transfers between storage locations, is there discrepancies, and so on. All those records will be shown there, including the status. And as it is for all the fields, you will have the smart filtering options. So you can filter by yard, by fleet, by type of resource, by responsible for the equipment, by the team even, by status, or by the source section of it. And those smart filtering options you will have on nearly every functionality in ETM.next. What is also important for the yard managers and plant managers is the inspection, safety, and compliance module. As mentioned, I will give only a brief overview about it. So this module integrated into ETM.next is designed especially for tools, for smaller equipment, which is needing some maintenance, regular inspections with a certain cycle, like electrical checks, checks for oil pressure of engines and something like this, what you maybe do not want to perform using SAP's PM module, not to overfreight it. Not replacing PM, but let's say copying some of those functionalities. This inspection, safety, and compliance module can be used to perform all those kind of smaller jobs, so to say. This can be smaller repairs. This can be jobs like cleaning after usage, when you have an inbound delivery. So an open return, as we have learned earlier in the yard overview. And this is then, let's say, ensuring that all of your equipment and tools are always compliant to all legal regulations that are in there. There is even the possibility to create templates and have automatic creation of those recurring tasks. For instance, when you have for your own internally decided every 200 operating hours, there should be a visual inspection of equipment, then the system would create this job automatically. It would be assigned to somebody to perform it. And the yard manager can assign it to his employees, and they would have their daily workload for inspections and other jobs they would have to perform over there. So this also gives you, let's say, at all times an overview what happens in terms of maintenance, in terms of overhaulings and other jobs. So a kind of task overview and task management for the daily activities on your yard as they regard your equipment fleet. We also touch the handovers. Very important for the yard manager, because the initial steps of the handover, the picking of items and the commissioning of items. So this means the issuing to be sent to site, the handing over to the logistics supplier, or the handover to your own logistics fleet assets, drivers, to be transported to site. So the handover itself is a multi-step object. We already mentioned this in the first webinar. It has several states, from picking, issuing, receiving, and also then clarification. You can see completed handovers and also canceled handovers. You see once again those filtering functionality here. You could, for instance, now filter for your yard and see, okay, what's if you are the receiving yard, what is all the equipment from different handovers that you receive. So also for you as a yard manager, very important, if you may receive equipment that originally belonged to another yard but will be transferred to your yard. Also for sending and transferring equipment to another yard to get rid of the responsibility and bring it into the responsibility of the other yard, could be used here by the handovers. So you see, for instance, for you, the provide to site handover is a very important one for the yard manager. So try to imagine you have a request. This is your daily workload. You have to provide this to site. This means you pick the appropriate item. You could even use the mobile phone to scan barcodes, QR codes, and identify the appropriate item accordingly. You pick it and then you issue it to be sent to site. And this would mean that your job from the yard view has been performed. The mobile app is supporting this process of the handovers. So for the people really working in the yard and preparing, picking, and issuing the resources, they could use the mobile app to, let's say, see their overall workload, their task inventory, perform the jobs, pick it, confirm it, and so on. You could even use the smartphone functionalities like taking a picture to document the appropriate state, that there is no defect, for instance, no damage, so it's in a good condition, to have a seamless documentation from your responsibility of the process chain. If there would then happen, let's say, something during the transportation between the yard and the project and the construction site, this would give you the documentation, okay, we have handed it over in a good shape, so the damage must have happened during transport. So you have a direct proof, let's say, for the damage and claims handling afterwards. You can also use it to confirm reception. For instance, you receive equipment back from the construction sites. Then you can use electronic signature, for instance, to confirm that you have received it, maybe also in a good state, or once again, you take a photo and attach it to this handover step to, let's say, conclude the handovers and the documentation of this internal or external rental process, and have the appropriate basis for corresponding cost allocation or external invoicing at the end. In general, the mobile app also shows offline functionality. This means if you have not maybe places with no connectivity in warehouse, in a storage facility, underground or wherever, you can use the mobile app, perform the jobs, pick things and so on. And when you have connectivity, once again, the system will be updated. So the mobile app itself, it's a native one available for all iOS and Android devices. So for the smartphones your people have with them anyway, it gives mobile process control of those daily operations in the yard. You can use those digital features the smartphones show anyway, like scanning, pairing it, like this photo documentation that I have mentioned, or also tracking. So for instance, when you want to manually enter the geolocation of the equipment to confirm also for the planners, it has arrived in the yard, you can match it with the geolocation in your smartphone. And so the system will know the exact location of the asset is right now in the yard once again. This is more or less, let's say, the mobile app and how it is supporting the logistics processes and the handover processes. It is also supporting the inspection, safety, and compliance tasks on your yard. So your people will have their workload in the morning and see, okay, for excavator 1, I have to perform a visual inspection. For crane 2, I have to perform a cleaning job as it has returned yesterday and has to be cleaned up before it can be rented out or provided once again to the next project. Or there is an electrical check, or there is a legal check for the car necessary to be performed and so on. They can use the app, they can perform the job with the app, confirm it that the job has been done, and then the system will be updated, and if a status was not compliant of an equipment, the status will be reassigned to be compliant. So this is more or less in a nutshell the mobile app, also for the yard manager. The webinar series will continue, as I have already mentioned, with billing and cost settlements, so with more focus on functional modules. As time is limited today, this was only, let's say, mentioned to give you an overview of what's in there for the yard and plant managers. If you want to see more and are interested in the warehousing module, in inspection, safety, and compliance module, if you want to dig deeper into those yard management functionalities and features, please just get in touch with us. You know that we always like to demonstrate our software, explain it, also explain it in a tailored way towards your needs and requirements. So just get in touch on the usual channels that you know we are happy to support. And so as there is no questions that I have seen so far, I would end today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. We are looking forward to continue the webinar series and hope to see you in our next series, in our next webinar for billing and cost settlement once again. Have a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great day that has just started all over the world. And yeah, we are happy to hear from you. Thank you very much.